Hello, I'm Joan Justice with HealthWorks Collective, and I'm here today with Paul Amendola from the International Rescue Committee. I asked Paul to come and talk with me and give me his personal comments about this IRC project in Africa using mobile phones to track mortality. Paul, why don't you tell us just briefly about the study and then some of your personal thoughts on the results and what this means for the use of mobile in healthcare in the future?
Thanks, John. We had two primary projects, one in Sierra Leone and one in uh, the Democratic Republic of Congo. In Sierra Leone, we were using community health workers to send in reports on mortality and treatments weekly via SMS. And in Congo, it was a similar project. We were using community health workers or their version of community health workers to send in reports on mortality, again with mobile phones over SMS. Basic messages, basic phones, but data that is really hard to get and data we can use in real time.
And what was so difficult before in getting this data? Why did you start using mobile phones?
Mortality is a hard thing is a very difficult is difficult data to get. Normally, it takes a really large survey with covering a large area with a lot of technical support. It's very expensive. It's very hard to do.
Okay.
So the thought has been moving away from mortality studies and mortality surveys to more prospective mortality surveillance. And using mobile phones was a way to get that data in to someone who could use it and analyze it in real time.
Okay, great. And what were the results and thoughts on this study from the standpoint of the IRC?
The biggest result for both of the studies was the reporting rate. Both studies were focused on very rural areas, both of Sierra Leone and of Congo. And the reporting rate for one project was 93%,
Yeah,
and then in the other project it was 100%.
Yeah,
And roughly 50 community health workers in each project in really rural areas where it takes a long time normally to get this data in. So even though there were challenges along the way, that we were able to get valid, accurate data weekly for the projects. And what it means for IRC in terms of the results is we can do similar projects relying on community health workers in similar areas. A lot of things we thought were not going to be possible really would be possible. In terms of literacy, both areas very low literacy, but that doesn't translate to numeracy as well. There were some examples in Sierra Leone where we were doing a training, and the community health worker was filling in an exercise sheet of exactly what we wanted them to send, which SMS to send in to us. And they couldn't write down the message they were sending, but when they were given a phone, they could type it in.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so all these barriers we thought were there, there were solutions for.
Yeah, that's great. And you were there. What did the people think about the study when they were doing it, the community health workers?
It's interesting. In both places, it was a little different. In Sierra Leone, where there's already mobile phones are very prevalent, they thought we should have been doing this since the beginning. They were a lot more comfortable with it than the paper-based forms. And just their knowledge of the mobile phones and how the mobile phones were working was amazing. We did feasibility studies of where there was mobile coverage for some of the areas. And there were some villages that we didn't think had any mobile coverage at all, and they wouldn't be able to send in messages. But someone in the village, there was just one example, knew to go to this certain mango tree and hold the phone up against a mango tree, and it was just enough signal to send an SMS.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and we were able for the rest of the project to get this data in from that village.
Uh-huh.
In Congo, it was a little bit of a different story. There was the mobile phones. This was an introduction of a new technology.
Okay.
Uh, so it was the training was a lot more intense. The uptake and the refresher training and the support needed more time.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. But the community health workers were the people to choose for this kind of task. You found that out.
Yeah, that's what we were looking at too.
Yeah.
For mortality surveillance, is the community health worker the
Mm-hmm.
right person to be sending in this data? And with both projects, it's allowed us to expand past just mortality data to start receiving treatment data and stock out data as well.
Okay, so this has opened the way, paved the way for future studies. There's going to be a scale up.
Yeah, both future studies and scale up.
Mm-hmm.
For the in Sierra Leone in the midterm evaluation, we were having them initially send in 4 data elements every week, and we were able to scale up to 11
Mm-hmm.
for the second half of the project, with the reporting rate and the accuracy rates still the same.
That's really great. So, what do you
Yeah.
think? What would you say are the implications for mobile health going forward?
I think it's showing you how challenges such as power sources and mobile coverage and literacy aren't really barriers for
Mm-hmm.
M health in rural areas of Africa.
Yeah.
In Sierra Leone, we were in both places. Keeping the phones charged and keeping the phones
Mm-hmm.
working was a challenge. But in Sierra Leone, when solar chargers weren't working, uh, the community health workers as a group devised a plan to use credit that was given to their phones to pay a shopkeeper to charge their phones. So no money had to be exchanged. We could send the credits from the headquarters office, and it allowed the project to go on. So there are solutions. There are
Okay.
solutions to the problems.
That's really wonderful, Paul. Thanks so much. This is really, I think, a great step forward for mobile and for global health. And thanks for bringing this study to our attention and for being here with me today. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.